Welcome back to Just Africa. Yes, today is World Literacy Day. And of course, we've been on to Obi Najaya, who has been, taking us through what literacy actually means. Obi Najaya, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right, glad to have you back.
Yeah, I was asking, you talked about literacy being different from the way it used to be back in the days. Most of us grew up with the mindset that when you say one is literate, you just have to know your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3. So I don't know, how is literacy different now compared to 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, literacy nowadays is far more different because because of the technology invention. So technology, you see that um, if a woman in the village can use her phone to connect to someone in USA or Canada or Australia and still talk and see each other. And so long as she knows how to press the buttons and she knows she can send him message and all that. So literacy has really evolved compared to years back. So that's why when we talk of literacy nowadays, we can't remove digital literacy from it because they're interwoven these days.
People who still don't want to fall into or who are unable to come into the categories of people who uses smartphones. There are people who are still laid back. They tell you for one reason or the other they cannot use some of these technological tools. What happened to such people in our society?
Yeah, those are the divides that for example, the government and the global organizations such as UNESCO is still fighting to get people empowered. For example, in Australia, where I live, um, people are not, you may not learn physics or mathematics and all that as a subject for you to be literate. So that's the government can come in to empower these people, even those in rural areas, to have access to that knowledge of using technology. And it starts from there.
All right, thank you very much. Now, of course, you have media outlets, and you've been doing quite a lot, community outreach projects, that prioritize reading, digital literacy, and lifelong learning. So I'd like to ask you, how has your IT and media background influenced your approach to literacy?
Yeah, my IT background starts way back when I was in Lagos and we were selling computers. We are one of the first people that laid hand on a PC, Microsoft and all those software. When the computer was just on 0 and 1 basics. So and it helped me to when I now went out of the shores of Africa. And that knowledge of computer helped me to chase the part of IT, and it changed the story for me. So, and these days, even in some states, we have been we engage in some of the programs that let people know how to use digital devices. So, because if people are not able to go to the four walls um, of the school to get literate, um, I think some programs, there are some different programs that still empower them to be literate, especially through the innovation of the media devices and other technological opportunities. So that helped me. The knowledge of the knowledge of computer really helped me to, progress in that part of information technology.
All right, thank you very much. So, in your own experience, which literacy challenges in Nigeria do you find the most urgent for economic empowerment?
First of all, major issue we have in Nigeria is part of the things we're talking about. You see how we've been engaging in this interview and we've been interrupted frequently because of the network failures, which should not be. There are a lot of things that the government has to do. A lot of things. The infrastructure provision of infrastructural um, devices. Then and also we talk about the security issues in Nigeria, security issues, especially in northern part of Nigeria and also coming out to the south as well, where people are by force deprived, of that opportunity to get education, uh, which entails as well literacy. So we have so many issues which, as I'm talking to you, I'm not even relaxed because I don't know when there'll be a technological interruption in terms of network failure. So we have a lot of things that still divide, create division between the literacy and illiteracy gaps.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Obina. Yeah, talking about crisis, insecurity, and the rest that disrupts literacy, knowledge acquisition in Nigeria and Africa generally. Well, when we come to that, the deprivation of knowledge, women and children are most vulnerable. What policy do you think the government has put in place to empower women with the right knowledge, with the right to go back to school, whether as a girl child? I'm speaking generally for the female gender right now. What do you think the government has put in place or should put in place to enable women to be educated and to have the required knowledge in nation building?
Yeah, as you can see by the data obtainable within the UNESCO database, you see that, and in Africa, Africa is where you have most of people that are illiterate. We still have almost half of the population of Nigeria are deprived of that basic human rights, having access to literacy. So just above half of the population. And we know, that we are people of about 130 million. So it means that about 50 million people are living without having that knowledge, that skill of literacy. So, and it's a big problem. And among those people, those over 50 million people, most of them are women. The most of them are women, and it stems from that, from our cultural background, and then out of school children, people that are supposed to be in school that have been removed from school due to poverty, mainly poverty, and then insecurity, because our system here is designed in a way that people get literate through school. So because if the people are not don't if people don't have that opportunity to be sent to school, they will be deprived of that basic, right to get literate. So we have insecurity, we have cultural issues, and then we have economic issues, which is poverty. Most people can't even afford to eat, talk less of paying school fees, no matter how small it is. So these are the things. These are places where the government come in to make sure that these inalienable rights are made available to everyone. It should be a must that every person, since we still depend on the four walls, of school, to get education and thereby being literate, government should make those things available and even free.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. The last thing you said was where I was going to start from, or is where I'm going to start from now. You said government should make it free. I mean, back in the days, I'm sure you might also be part of it. A lot of our leaders have enjoyed or had enjoyed free education. Do you think that this could be one of the things that could bring back or could take children who are out of school back to school, could encourage people, encourage parents to enroll their children into school, so we'll have less? I mean, you said the population is 50% or up to 50%, don't have access to literacy. So do you think free education is one of the things that we need to the government needs to look at?
Yeah, free education should be what the government shouldn't even think twice to introduce. It should be something that's a priority because by the time you make education affordable or free to some certain levels, every aspect of the economy of the society will be taken care of. Can you imagine a situation whereby more 30 million have access to education, and for example, in the next 8 years, you have more than enough doctors, you have more than enough nurses, you have more than enough IT experts, you have more than enough people that has the skill and knowledge, and that empowers the economy as well. And that creates also, remember that when people are educated or literate, I use education in this term because education is the foundation that also allows literacy to thrive, for people to have access to literacy. Because in this part of the world, we still go to school to get all those, skills. So when people are educated and they have these skills, they are literate enough, they could make informed decisions. They could make informed decisions. Joining crime will become something that is a deliberate action, not something that you are cajoled into or you are forced into. And then even terrorism will reduce. Will reduce. So look at what is happening in the northern part of Nigeria, where people, they call them bandits and all that. Why is this organized crimes thriving? They thrive because people in that part of the world are not, well informed. They don't have options. They don't have options to make informed decisions, to decide that, okay, these are the risks, or do I have alternative? If I can read and write and I have the power to create job for myself, then why would I go and stay in the forest and be bitten by mosquitoes and snakes and all that because I want to be a bandit? I'd rather be someone that is creating content and posting it online. I prefer to do that white collar job than to be in the forest. So they will be able to make, an informed decision, which will, have a better effect to the other part of the society, at large. So these are the things the government there should not be any afterthought. It's not something that the government should think twice to, create an atmosphere, enabling atmosphere and environment for people to freely have access to basic education, which entails literacy as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obina. So I understand that the media has a role to play when it comes to literacy campaign. So I want to ask, what initiatives at 9 News Nigeria, what initiatives do they have to promote literacy and information access?
Yeah, one of the things we do at Linus Nigeria is that we don't allow people to be manipulated financially. I don't encourage our editors, our journalists to be manipulated financially. You don't pay people to distort information. We don't allow that. And we are not funded by any politician. We are not funded by the government. We are independently funded by private individuals and myself also. So, because this information is part of the problem that we have in Nigeria and in Nigerian political atmosphere, where people resort to propaganda other than doing the right thing. What I mean is, I can tell you, whereas I am here in Nigeria right now, and if you look at the background and every other thing that will suggest to you that I'm in Nigeria, I can tell you that I'm still in Australia. And that is called disinformation. And that could be, I could tell you some other things that could manipulate your mindset or manipulate your thoughts or decision making. And that is called propaganda. So we fight within our organization to, give people the right information. And that also transcends to when there's election, when people are misinformed or disinformed, it also affects how they make their judgments in terms of political decisions. And that is why we keep going backward instead of forward.
Okay, so I want us to move a little to the economic part of this conversation. So I want to ask, can a country truly grow its economy if many of its people are still illiterate?
A country cannot grow its economy if major part of its population are illiterate. It's impossible. It's impossible. Look at talking about the privation of literacy on the women population, the female population, which has more of uneducated in quotes. You know what I mean, literacy. But I use education in this part of the world. So when major part of the population that are uneducated or has lack of literacy are women, what do you expect? The society is formed from the family. The basic foundation of a society is the family. If a woman is uninformed, the children, it affects the children, it affects the decision making of the husband and the children. And then you have a society that's chaotic. That's what you get. You have people that go to school and become bullies. You have children that are malnourished because the mother doesn't have the knowledge of the right portion of meal or the right kind of meal to feed to the children. And when they have malaria, he would think there's obanje somewhere that's causing this illness. So all these are the problems that we need to start fixing by providing free education.
All right, thank you very much, Obina. I want us to look at cultural aspects that sometimes negate women, especially the girl child, from having access to literacy. We live in a world whereby women are believed to be assigned to the kitchen. They are propped up, pampered for marriages, weddings. Even in some parts of the state, they are married off early. That mentality it's also negating literacy, especially for the girl child. The men are believed to work hard, toil the ground, hustle, get good jobs to provide for the family, while the women stay at home and take care of the family. How can we begin to correct this narrative, especially in rural communities?
Yeah, we will begin, to correct these narratives and that mindset through education. I'll fall back to that literacy again, because it is a basic skill for you to make critical decision. If you don't have the ability to analyze data, analyze situations, it deprives you also the ability to, make critical decisions, informed, we call it professionally informed decision, because informed decision is when you have the pros and cons of a situation and then you decide by yourself what you want to do. And that gives you also the aftermath responsibility to be responsible to your decision because you are well informed before you took that decision. So if people have access to literacy, um, they will, in fact, if you empower somebody, that empowerment is hard for it to be, covered or shrouded or, be clouded. Because can you imagine if you learn how to play piano, as soon as you see piano, you start moving your fingers. That's how it works. When people are educated or get access to literacy, it just changes how they think, and it also influences how they make their decisions and how they behave. So the major step to take is to break that chain of gap, the gap, the divide, the thing that divided people from access to literacy. Those things which I also said about the insecurity, like you said, cultural issues, but understand that culture that are that are not good for humanity, for the people, thrive when people also lack knowledge, when they lack the right knowledge. That is why, for example, in the past, like from the southeast and the south, people used to think that twins should be killed. When you born a child that come out as a twin, it is a taboo. Why? It's because they lacked the knowledge to understand that during this thing, children can come out, as the spermatozoa could be divided and then, form two or more than two folds. Is it forties or what? That is called, So education, what governments must do, and individuals like myself, philanthropists and organizations must do, is to start, doing everything possible to get people educated. It goes far more beyond economic wealth creation. It also brings peace, reduces and the terrorism.
What I was trying to ask initially was, how can the government step in? Should it be more of like an encouragement or an enforcement for the girl child to be educated? How can the government step in, to persuade parents that they need to enroll their child in a school to get basic education?
Yeah, government should make a law, like you said. First of all, create that environment that encourages education. That environment is by building schools, no matter how beautiful or how big, but let there be schools that's accessible and also making it free and comfortable. How do you make it free and comfortable? You make it free by not taking the tuition fees, whatever fees that people have to pay as school fees, make it free to a certain level, at least primary education to even secondary education, yes. So tertiary education should be paid for, but it should also be subsidized to a certain level. But primary to tertiary to secondary education should be free and affordable and conducive. Conducive in a fact that when a child goes to school, even if his parents doesn't have food for him, you have access to one-time meal. You have access to a meal, and he has access to books. So these are basic rights. And then make a law that criminalizes a parent that do not send the child to school, a child that's or that is a minor. Any minor that's not in school, the parents or whoever that's looking after them should be held accountable. What I'm saying is not what is not obtainable in elsewhere. It happens in Australia. If you're a parent and you have a child that is a minor that's not going to school, you are broken the law. You are broken the law. So if government, first of all, you have to make enabling environment. Let there be school that is free. And then it's now the responsibility of the parent to drop this child to school. So you must have, if you do these basic two things, you have solved big chunk of the problem.
All right, thank you, Mr. Obina. You've really said much about the girl child, which is something I loved so much. But some of the things you said, you mentioned, like the a meal a day.
Meal a day per child.
Per child. The law whereby when an underage is found on the street hawking or selling, the parents will be arrested. I think these are laws that have been made in Nigeria before. These are things that have been said by the government before. But we did not see the effects of these. Do you think the policies, or we didn't feel it?
The enforcement.
The enforcement. So, do you think the policies are just enough? Making the policies, is it just enough to make them? How do we enforce them? Because today we still see many children hawking, selling, doing all sorts of jobs that they are not meant to do. And this is affecting our society as we speak now, because most of them are being misled. What do we need to do? These laws are in place, but we do not have enforcement.
Yeah, I was aware that there was a time these laws were made, and I remember when Buhari introduced this feeding school children, and because the topic we're discussing today is far more different. I'm a political analyst, so I didn't want to venture into that part of the discussion. But you have, kind of giving me a go-ahead to talk about that. So one of the problems we have in Nigeria is corruption and impunity. Corruption and impunity. When people know that they can go around to break the law and come out without paying for it, paying the price for the law breaking. So I don't know if I'm still on air.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much, Obina Ejaya, for your powerful thoughts. Thank you for your insight. You have been very brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Quite a whole lot he said there about education, and I like the fact that you made it known that these laws are also there. It's just the enforcement. I mean, if you go around, just this Lagos Island where we are right now, you see a lot of them, hawking, especially women, young children, and it's quite sad.
It is.
That they're supposed to be in school. And we get the fact that, okay, you can go to school, then after school to support your parents.
Yes.
You go do some of that, but while you're supposed to be in school, you are hawking, and like you said, some of them are being misled, abused, morally, and all that, and it's not good.
And the fact that we talked about the girl child being educated is very, very important. Culture. I think it's high time our traditional leaders maybe they should be held accountable at some point, honestly, for the level of illiteracy of the girl child or the woman out there. I am very happy and proud today that I brag about it. My aunt, my grandfather was the first man in his village that sent a girl child to school. So when he was sending my auntie to school, according to my dad, he said, "Why are you sending your daughter to school? After all, she will get married and she will change her surname. So why are you sending her to school?" He said, my dad said that my grandfather said, whether she changes her name or not, she is still my child. That's the foundation of education in my own family. But not every man has that understanding. Not even the women themselves. Some don't have that understanding that, okay, the girl child needs to go to school. Like our guest rightly said, Olumide, if the woman in the home, those of you that are men, you know the kind of wives you have at home. If your wife is not educated, you feel the impact on the child. The malnutrition, the academic performance, and so many things, you know. But when you see that's why when they say, when you train a woman, you train a community.
Yes.
There is a reason for that. So this year's World Literacy Day, I think it is high time we empower women with education. Yes.
Yeah, and it's quite sad that even though the female ones that have been educated, when a man, a suitor comes for them in some part of the country, they bill you with a list and collect all the...
Hey, not all, Olumide. They just tell you we've spent.
Yes, to let you know that they've spent money that is supposed to be their own pride. They retrieve it back from you as that. But it's World Literacy Day. My own thought is that let's try as much as possible to get everyone out there educated.
Yes.
Because the more educated people we have, the more financially independent person you are, the more you have that ability to create wealth for yourself. It's not everyone that's just going to go to school and get employed. Some would create wealth for themselves. Some are born to be businessmen, but get that literacy first. Thank you to our guest, Obi Naijaya, for your insight, and thank you for joining us on Just Africa. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the second segment. Stay tuned.